Hi, I am Crystal Dillard. Thank you guys so much for joining me again today for my podcast, From the Schoolhouse to the State House. I am running for state representative in District 131. And, I like to go into the community and I like to really promote what's going on in the community, especially in District 131 and all around in that area, because so many times we don't even realize the kinds of things that are happening around us, the offerings that we have right there in our own communities. And today, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we're right up on Thanksgiving. I want to introduce and really give everybody an opportunity to meet two people in the community that are really making things happen for themselves and our community. And that's what it's all about. It's about each one reaching one and lifting up the community. And I couldn't introduce them any better than they could introduce themselves. But these two people are in different lanes, but boy, do they ever come together to tell and to show what giving and what uplifting and empowerment mean. So I'm not going to mess this up this time. I'm not going to say to my left and to my right, because last week when I did that, it's exactly opposite when I look at it on the podcast. So I'm going to guess that this is to my left. On the podcast, it's going to be Meka. She's actually to my right, but she's to my left here. But Meka, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yes. Well, first, thank you for allowing me to be on your platform. I'm always excited to be in the midst of greatness. So today seems like it's greatness going on, not only in our communities, but listen, around the city of Houston. And so I'm Meka Diamond. I'm the host of the Morning Tea radio show on the GMT platform. I'm also the host of Meet Houston, and I'm also a community activist and author. And I just do a lot of community stuff. I do a lot of community things. I have two businesses. I have Visible Evidence, which is a marketing, branding, and PR firm. And Then I also have Meka Diamond Inc., which is more of motivational speaking. It's a media platform as well as business coaching.
That is awesome. Can you introduce yourself to us? The gentleman to my right. I promise you're to my right on that screen.
Gotcha. Well, hey, glad to be here. Thank you for even having me. Like you say, in the midst of greatness and people, I love to be in the midst of people that's doing. That's always my number one thing. But I'm from Houston, graduate from Jackie Yates High School, graduate from Prairie View A&M, Lloyd Ford. And, my biggest thing is always doing what we need for in the community.
Yes.
My thing is always big on business and economics and being economically sound in anything that we want to do.
Right.
That way we push the economics and the initiatives ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I'm always big in independence and believing in yourself and self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. And Meka, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I met you very recently.
Yes.
But when I heard your story, it was so compelling. And it's really a story of making beauty from ashes.
For sure.
And I want to get both of your stories, but I want to turn to you first because I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself. Where you grew up. Are you a Houston native? And tell me how you actually walked into what I consider your main purpose. Of being a giver to the community.
Well, I graduated from Elsick High School, so I am an A-Leaf alumni. So I have to tell this. I was on the state basketball team, so shout out to the Lady Rams. But I am from Louisiana.
Okay.
I am from Louisiana. My family is in Louisiana, most of them, but we are here in Houston. And so a little bit about myself. In the year of 2007, my brother was killed due to gang violence in A-Leaf Independent School District at A-Leaf Amity Park. And so because it was a lifestyle that we didn't know that he had,
right.
And because after that experience, of course, my focus was, and my promise to him was that his name wouldn't go in vain
right.
by what happened to him, but it will go in a positive impact. And so I started digging in the trenches. I'll be honest, I put community service before my job at the time because I was just so focused on making sure that I kept my promise. Right. And so by doing so, I completed over 7,000 hours in community service.
Wow.
And because of that, someone watched me and had been watching for a long time, and they got me a proclamation day. I didn't even know that it was even taking place.
Wow.
And because of the amount of work that I had put into the community, rebuilding parks in the A-Leaf community, doing parades, annual A-Leaf alumni basketball games, giving scholarships in the A-Leaf Independent School District. After I got the proclamation day, I said November the 15th, which is my brother's birthday.
Right.
And so why not do an event that's going to honor his birthday and how I received the proclamation day? So that's what I do. I serve however I can serve, with whomever I can serve with those who have like-minded hearts and like-minded souls that want to give back in the communities.
Well, Meka, you brought something up, and of course, this really sparked my interest when you said that your brother was a victim of gang violence and a lifestyle that you had nothing about, because it's obviously and evidently pretty easy for people to hide that if they don't necessarily want their loved ones to find out about it.
Right.
And we saw something like that very recently in the news within the last few years about a young man who was completely different at home, but in some way may have had some type of connection, either direct or indirect, which cost him his life. Tell me about that day in 2007 that changed your life.
Wow. It's funny that you asked that question, because closer to his birthday, I started remembering, like, man, like, you actually are not here on your birthday this year. Yeah. But I went back to that day and saying the reason of us not knowing, we had been leaders from birth, and so it was quite surprising that he would be affiliated with wanting to be affiliated. You know what I mean? When knowing he was such a leader, but then after knowing that that's one of the things that leaders like to do, you want to recruit leaders because you'll then have followers. And so I kind of understood the process after. But that day, it was a regular, normal Sunday. And it's so crazy because looking back at that day, I realized how the different series of events that took place that day, you look back and you like, Lord, were you wanting him to see certain people on that specific day? Because he went to see my grandmother, who was in a nursing care facility. He spent time with his kids, and he went to see my mom. And so it was just so weird seeing all of those things that took place on that same day.
Yes.
And so on the way, he actually wasn't dead when we were on our way to the hospital. I went to pick up my mom, and we were on our way to the hospital at bedtime, and we were actually waiting on his brain to subside so they could do a brain surgery. And I mean, I could still remember there was at least 35 people at the hospital, all in the hallways, outside, like in the waiting room. There was no seats. And so we were all sitting in there, and one of the surgeons comes in and says that, he had coded one time and they was waiting on the swelling to go down. And then the next time he came in and said that he didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Meka, I know the old saying, beauty for ashes, definitely applies to your journey. When did you decide that you were going to turn such a traumatic experience into a way of keeping his memory alive through community involvement and letting the community be the beneficiary of the positivity? And tell us exactly how you did that. I got to witness it last Saturday. But it was absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Well, one of the things was my promise. That was first. My promise was I wanted, and the ultimate goal was everybody would know him in spirit if they didn't know him in the flesh. And so I felt like as much as I would do in community service, people would be bringing his name in a positive light, regardless of the situation. And then I finally realized that it was my own grief therapy. So for me, as I continued to work hard, that was what helped me to continue to push forward. And then furthermore, I just didn't want a family or a child to experience what our family had experienced. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to be his light in this dark world. I'm going to continue to push forward, and I'm going to do things, bringing families and communities together. If you're in a gang, listen, you may be in the same room. We may be serving together, and so that was one of the things, some of the things that helped inspire me more. Even so, just being able to, I think it's in me just to have that purpose push mentality. And so I just love when people serve together and for the greater good of the community. And so that's what keep me going.
Well, tell us about your event. I'm trying to make you talk. You're so modest. She's so modest. She didn't want to tell us about the event that she hosts. That's
Yeah.
an annual event that has grown exponentially.
It
Tell us
has.
about that.
So again, November the 15th is his proclamation day. And so we always have an annual Share the Feast. And it's titled Meka Day because, of course, that's the day that I received the proclamation. And so we started out with 25 families, and it was just turkeys at that time.
Right.
That was 5 years ago. Now we're over 190 families, feeding over 1,200 people, individuals. And so what we do is we get organizations. We get those. We have connected with all of the hospitals in Houston and Texas City. So we connect with their social workers, and we get families that are going through rough times right now. Could be during the pandemic. It could be because they have a health issue that they're fighting, and they're having to use their funds on medical bills or treatment or things of that nature. And so we just want to be a light in the community. So because of it being the pandemic, we started a drive-by. And the drive-by is just so awesome. It was awesome.
It was awesome.
It's so awesome. We have cheerleaders that are cheering the families on as they drive through to get their boxes. And so we started out with turkeys, and now we have boxes of a full meal. So we provide them with yams and mashed potatoes and macaroni and cake mix and muffins.
And y'all even had supplies, cleaning supplies, sterilization supplies, sanitizer and gloves and all kinds of stuff in those boxes.
Absolutely. So we just want to make sure that we provide, I always tell them as I prayed on that Saturday, you just never know if we are the last smile they'll see before they make a life-changing decision keep pushing forward. And so that's what we want to do. We're going to cheer. We're going to scream. We're going to honk the horn. We're going to have music, uplifting music. And the spirit of that day is just, it is something to witness for yourself.
I got to witness it.
Yeah. It's just something to see so many people collaborating and coming together that has never met each other. They've never seen each other, but collectively with one purpose in mind, and that's to serve the community.
Meka, tell me what's next for Meka Diamond. And the feast, it's basically taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, it has.
You were telling me how you would like to see it grow. Tell us about that.
So the biggest goal is for the name to expand, not only in the city of Houston, but other places as well. We have connected with some motorcycle clubs that are in Corpus Christi. We've connected with some people in Louisiana that want to do Share the Feast in their own cities.
Wow.
And so I feel like, listen, if we've got the blueprint and it's been working for 5 years, then somebody else can just take the same blueprint and do the same thing. And not more importantly is that where it all started from.
Yes.
And so what my promise was, and so regardless to where it is, the name is still going to ring Jackie Morris II.
I was just getting ready to tell you to please tell us your brother's name. Yes.
His name is Jackie L. Morris II.
Okay. Well, Meka, tell me this. How can a supporter or a sponsor get a hold of you if they want to become part of Meka Day, if they want to help sponsor?
And we definitely love sponsors. Now, sponsors, donations, volunteers, all hands are definitely on deck. Listen, we'll find a place for you. But you can reach me on any of social media platforms. I'm Meka Diamond on Facebook as well as Instagram. Visible Evidence, Meka Diamond Inc., whichever. I'm connected to most of the same people because we all serve, and not just for Meka Day, but we serve in different areas, different community projects. And so if you don't find me, you'll find somebody that I know. It's always the Saturday before November the 15th. So we always collect items prior to that date, or we have sponsorship packages where, of course, we have media as well. Yes. If you're a business owner or if you're an organization as well. Next year, we plan on expanding the organization. So this year we added on helping families fight sickle cell. So we had an organization for sickle cell. We have the Foxhole Family Reconstruction of a Survivor, which is a breast cancer organization that provides resources to those who are going through treatment or who have had treatment. Awesome. So just connecting. If you are an organization, if you're a school, you know that you have some youth that need some food during the holiday season, then just reach out with us and we'll do what we need to do to make sure that they are taken care of.
That's awesome. Now, Meka.
Yes.
What would you like for the takeaway to be for those who are watching, who may be who've heard your story and may have gone through similar situations and may not be necessarily processing it in the same way? You know, with a situation like that, it's easy to take it in one direction or another. It's easy to let you tailspin into a depression, a horrible depression. What would you want the takeaway to be?
Well, what I had to learn was what would work for me.
Yeah.
What, community projects may not be your therapy for you, but whatever it is, within that situation, try to make it into something positive the best way that you know how.
Yes.
Because I'll be honest, it took me, I was carrying the weight alone and I was upset with my family because I was thinking like, why aren't y'all helping me with this project? It's for your family member.
Right.
But they had to process it
in their own way.
In their own way.
Right.
And this year was the first year that I had all of my immediate family, which made it extra special. But
Yes.
I would say to those who have experienced, and not even just the community projects, but pay attention to your young adults.
Yes.
That was something that I just figured that he loved wearing this color. I didn't figure where it was. You know what I mean? I didn't have those
Especially
conversations.
if you didn't know. If you're not familiar with the lifestyle.
Right. And so just pay attention, have those conversations, because I don't think that my brother needed to be, he needed to feel like he was accepted. I just think that he was a leader, and he made a choice and he made a decision. Right. And I'll tell anybody too, when these situations I had to come to the realization is that, sometimes things need to happen to certain people to change certain things.
That's right.
Here, that's left behind.
That's right.
And so there were a lot of lives that was changed because of him being a leader and because of what took place.
Right.
And so I would just tell anybody to make what is right, or make it right within whatever it is within you.
Yes.
That will make you continue to push forward and change the narrative, maybe not for your story, but for somebody else's.
Absolutely. I'm going to turn to Lloyd now, because your stories actually intertwine so much in so many ways, but on completely different spectrums. And Lloyd, I want you to tell us a little bit about how you you're a Houston native. You said went to Jack Yates, went to PV.
Come on.
Yes. And you could have taken your degree and left the community and gone anywhere that you wanted to go and started a life for yourself and just closed that door and said, well, now I've arrived. But you didn't do that.
For sure.
You decided to do something a little bit different. Tell us a little bit about your project. I don't want to mention the name. I want you to be the one who introduces everything, because when I saw your company and I talked to my cousin about it, I just started smiling because I remember being in that particular building, probably, I'm afraid to say how many years ago.
People come to me all the time.
And it had really gone into a state of disrepair and was an eyesore in the community. And you have really breathed life back into the entire community and that particular area with your building and with your project. So tell us about it.
For sure. And real quick, a little bit, even just hearing your story, and it's funny how we all kind of arrived to the same thing, but my dad was like the community dad, so I was like a daddy's boy. How people talk about their mom, that's how I felt about my dad. Like, you better not talk about my daddy.
Yes.
And I really was a daddy's boy, and I think that really caught people off guard too. Like, in the hood, they don't meet too many daddy's
That's
boys.
Right. That's
Matter of fact, I don't even know my daddy. Matter of fact, my dad had never met his dad.
Right.
So it's more, well, maybe seen him once, he said, when he was 5. But at the end of the day, we got through that, and he taught me, go to school. Even though my dad was an entrepreneur, he did landscaping all throughout the community for 20, 30 years. But he still taught me, go to school, get an education, you be able to get a good job and stuff like that. He never talked about really entrepreneurship. And, and to be honest, I did. So I literally done every sales job. Then when I graduated, I went into IT, went into all the stuff. And it wasn't until I worked for one company, McKesson, especially help in the Woodlands. I'm like IT. I'm like, okay, I got it now.
You made it.
I'm networking. But at the end of the day, they even promoted me in the first month. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's easy because I'm always had the athlete spirit. So I'm trying to be number one in everything.
Yes.
And I'm really competing with myself. So, I go through this job. They didn't want to pay me, even though they promoted me. They didn't want to pay me, really
your value
more. So, I didn't complain.
Right.
I start going through the other floor, networking, trying to see who I can see, and end up getting a better job, paid $30,000 more. So I'm
Wow.
like, man,
That's not just a little bit more, Lloyd.
what? So
That's not a little bit more,
but
Lloyd.
exactly though. So
Okay.
you see me. So I went there. I went back to the first number one. I'm like, look, thank you, but no thank you. You know, you seen something
Yeah.
I see myself. You know, I'm about to go take this other job. Though. You know, they called me and told me it'll set the wrong premise that I quit a lower paying job and come back and get a higher paying job, so they couldn't hire me.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I probably
Wow.
worked one more job after that, but it wasn't till really then I was like, I would be a fool to leave my fate in these people's hands.
Mhm.
Right.
So, you know, my last time I worked a job was like 2017. I became like a full-fledged entrepreneur. I wrote books, you know, got my
Yes.
real estate
Mhm.
license.
Yes.
You know, my wife at the time, she was looking at me crazy, like, you know, what you doing? But she know I got the
Yeah.
attitude. She seen me home early, like, you
Yes.
got
Yeah.
fired or you quit.
Yes.
Like, which one?
Yes.
And so that really brought me to, I started really just seeing a lot of the injustice, a lot of stuff, even before then, but you know, you really never act on it.
Right.
You know, before you actually do it,
Yes.
they be hitting you for a
Mhm.
couple years and just
Yes.
beat down on you.
Yes.
And so once that I figured it out. And so even going through the thing I was telling them earlier, you know, just going through the different stuff with the community and the different
Yes.
challenges. And I started seeing the stuff that was happening.
Right.
So, you know, I thought it was not enough just to know the issues, but you got to be a part of the solution.
Absolutely.
Because I tell
Absolutely.
people all the time, a level of knowing comes with a level of doing.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
if you truly know, then you will be doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't sit still. You shouldn't be able to sit still if you know
What?
something is going on and it's something that you can do about it and you don't do anything about it.
Really. And I got into a bad habit when I was young and saying, I know to everything. And one day my daddy said, you don't know. Because if you did know, I wouldn't have to keep telling you.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to take that in. And one thing, you know, being in sports and stuff, I can take criticism.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
I tell people,
You're
go read a
coachable.
book all
You're
the
coachable.
time.
Yes.
Ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
tell people it's not about me. You know, I'm Lloyd Ford, don't need 100% anything. Matter of fact,
Right.
don't even follow me.
Yeah.
Follow the mission and the message of what we're trying to
Absolutely.
do.
Yes.
You
yes.
know, Lloyd gonna be Lloyd.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to be anybody's, you know, thinking I'm gonna be perfect, but at the end of the day, hold me accountable for
Exactly.
the actions that I do.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think that that's important for anybody that you look for in leadership.
Yes.
If they're not willing to take that accountability, I take that as what they say today, a red flag.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
For sure.
Well, Lloyd, excellent. So you've set that tone really, really well. So I'm gonna walk you back to that day in 2017 when you were driving down Cullen and you look over and you see this building. Obviously, you just didn't see a building, you saw a huge potential.
For sure.
Tell us about that.
You know what's funny though? Even about that, we didn't even really find that building because we didn't open till 2020.
Okay.
But I didn't find that building until 2019.
Wow.
And even when I started writing the plan for what we were trying to do, that space on Cullen
Uh-huh.
was probably like our fifth choice.
Really?
And I hadn't even found it. But, you know, we was going through all these places that we wanted to. But again, you see what we call the black store.
Mhm.
Yes.
People don't want that in their building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you got to be in the right area.
So
yeah, for
we
that to
had
be embraced.
Right. So I even had to understand like the different stuff. But getting denied a couple times on, to be honest, on OST. But I'm glad we got denied
Yeah.
because
Right.
we wouldn't be able to do the same thing that we did with the building on Cullen.
Exactly.
And it ended up being the most perfect fit in the
Right.
most dense black community in Houston. So,
Right.
you know, I think it's important that it led us there. And I tell people all the time, like, we didn't start there. And I guess the biggest thing is people say, you know, that was your plan though. You know, when my plan get derailed, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm defeated. I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, I'm good at letting stuff roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if I can't affect the change, I don't let it bother me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? To
Exactly.
a certain degree. So I think that endurance and me, like you say, when I went and seen it and they let us into the building for the first time and they had walls everywhere, man, I couldn't wait to knock the wall. Matter of fact, we
Yes.
had a community build out day where the
Mhm.
community came out and we just had hammers and everything and beating down
Getting those walls
walls.
down.
So
yes.
we made it a good time and we appreciate the help.
And that you just said, that is a very, the statement, knocking the walls down.
Mhm.
That means a lot. It has a lot of meaning. You were not only literally knocking the walls down, you were knocking walls down in people's heads as to exactly what the potential was
Mhm.
For sure.
for businesses of color in the community and being successful and being accepted and being known about and heard about.
For sure.
tell me more about the store and what are the offerings of the store, because until I went onto your website and I looked, they've got a beautiful website, number one, and
Thank you. I made it. Thank you.
Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. And I looked and I saw all of the events that are going on. It's just not beauty supplies. It's just not a salon. It's just not nails. It's not massage. It's just not yoga.
Right.
It's empowerment.
For sure.
You have events that are going on several days a week.
For sure.
And learning experiences. Some of the events are free for people to come out and just experience. Some have a nominal fee. But tell me, what was your vision in having something that would just be a place of celebration and empowerment where people could go and learn to appreciate themselves?
For one, I would say this. I'm all about economics and us being free economically, because I understand that that's where a lot of the power lies.
Yes.
And that we didn't always go. I tell people all the time, we've researched my group, Creative Group Economics, we've researched Martin Luther King, the Malcolm X's.
Yeah.
And one thing we realized is none of them were entrepreneurs.
Right.
So when their message became not as popular to the populace,
right,
then they lost a lot of stuff. They didn't own what they had. So
okay,
first and foremost, everything that we do is for the Black community. And people always know my number one rule is your skin is your ticket in. And what I say is, I know that we had to become economically sound. So my thing was first finding businesses, finding things and industries that we can enter. And I call them businesses of necessity or industries of necessity. So things that we use every day, all the time. And I think that was important. And it kind of morphed in, you know, we thought it was just going to be a beauty supply. But after it started morphing into the ideas that we had and kept coming, now we have over, you know, we done had over 100 brands come through our shelves, Black brands.
Yes.
And to be honest, this year they almost they'll reach just the Black brands. I'm talking no hair, no other chemical products.
Right.
They all reached probably $100,000 this year from being on our shelves.
Wow.
Awesome. And this is talking about shampoos and stuff like that, and shea butters and incense and body oils.
And I want to say this too. I want to make sure that everyone who is listening to this today understands that you don't have to be an African-American person to walk into your store and purchase.
Not at all.
This is what Lloyd is simply trying to do, is make sure that there are places and there are businesses that will promote these products that maybe wouldn't even be able to be seen on the shelves of other places. But these Lloyd will sell to anyone, and he embraces anyone coming into the store and being a part of uplifting the community.
For sure. One thing I'll tell you is I went to school in North Dakota for 2 years. Before I went to PD.
Wow.
I tell them -55. I'm sorry, that's not for Black folks. But one thing that people realize, I've had people and friends I can call up that's Hispanic, white, that get into my group that can't even come to a meeting because they know what we're trying to do it for. They know Lloyd don't hate anybody or hate you, but they know at the end of the day, I'm doing what we need to do for our people.
Yes.
And they understand that, and they like, hey, what can we do? One of my other friends is an Asian guy. He came to the Black store and did free photography for us and sent us all the pictures of the nail shop. And so and you're gonna get the same level of service no matter where you're. Go check us out on Google. We should be 5.0, but 4.999. Well, I guess we'll take it.
And Lloyd, tell us about some of the services that are featured in the store.
For sure. I mean, we not only have the beauty supply store where we have all the hair and accessories and things of that nature, but we have the nail shop in the back where they do mani pedis. Come and get your nails, feet done. Same thing. They also have a beautician in the back as well. So you got your braids and you get a discount if you get your hair done, and then you get your hair from the store, of course. And don't forget the community garden that's in the back. So they meet every Saturday from 11 to 1. We have a fire pit, stage, everything in the back, and they're growing stuff. We have okra back there that's taller than all of us.
Okay, now tell me this. Maybe I heard this right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually have some performers or some different. Do you have different poets or different people that come there and perform?
Yeah, we have. If you check out our event calendar,
You're being humble. You're being so humble, Lloyd. I'm trying to get you to tell us about all these things because when I looked on there, I saw some things that were very important for for politics, learning about different things that are
Sure.
going on in your community, learning about things that are coming up for the vote, learning about what you need to do to make sure that you're able to get to the poll, even though you may have some things that could be perceived as a barrier.
For sure.
You guys are doing a lot there. Don't be humble, Lloyd.
It's hard to
Yes.
get to everything, but I would say, yeah, those are more we have events that come from community all the way to yoga, all the way to poetry,
Yes.
so on and so forth. But the kind of what you're talking about too is one of our organizations. We just had a class yesterday called Business, Politics, and Money.
Right.
And we just show people. We had that at the Ion Center, that the little incubator that's near downtown. But the organization that we have is called Our Black Slate, and the name of our pack is called PAY, Political Advocates for Independent Democracy.
Okay.
And we know that that's important. And one of the things that we sell at the book, of course, is the Our Black Agenda, a guide to Black Power. And we tell people it look more scary than what it is, but we definitely have the roles and responsibilities of all the elected officials in the back.
Okay.
So people know what they're going
That's
to.
good.
In 2018, I went to over 200 and something community meetings.
Right.
And one thing that I realized that a lot of people was asking stuff of that representative that person didn't even do.
Exactly.
And we
people
didn't
just
even
don't know.
Yeah, we didn't
Mhm.
understand their job description. We didn't understand what they do.
Yep.
We didn't understand what they really represented for us.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we give that education. So I've been having that meeting every second Monday of the month. From 7 to 8 at the Black Store. You can definitely come find us and see how you can be a part. And that's my
good.
biggest thing is people getting to the action.
Yeah.
Not just talking about it, but being about it. So that's what the store and the physical reality of what we're trying to do and what we bring. So
I think that's awesome.
That is
Very
that
awesome.
really is. And Lloyd, let me ask you this: 2 years down the road, 2023, 2025, where do you see the Black Store? Do you want to expand that location? Do you want several locations? What is your vision for where the store will go?
to be honest, I tell people we help people that want to start stores all the time because we don't keep the knowledge.
Right.
We want you to, I don't need 100% anything. As a matter of fact, me to coaching you, I don't need you to give me a percentage of money either. But one thing where we see this, I definitely want us to have our own warehouse. So I'll definitely want us to start our own warehouse and distribution in this beauty supply space. That's something that we don't have. Not only a Black one here in Texas, but nationally. And I definitely want to give these Black-owned brands the space that they need to flourish. So that's what I say. People and the brands that's on our shelves, this really is an identification method for us right now. And the brands that operate good, doing good numbers, them are the people that we're going to put more money behind and help them become a national brand. And I think that's what people got to understand. This opportunity and that we do at the store is just not for us for you to make a couple dollars here and there. This is for us to identify the people that are serious about their brands, that can take it to the next level, and we can help get there. Not only economically, business-wise, and we offer all this help at the store. It's nothing that they have to do that you can't get there.
So basically, your store is an incubator.
For sure.
It really, really is. And let me ask you this. If someone has a product or if someone has a concept and they are interested in promoting it and trying to see if it is a marketable concept, they've done their research, they have their actual product, they may not have the knowledge as far as manufacturing yet.
For sure.
How would they go about making contact with you and coming in and setting up a meeting and presenting what they have to see if there is some validity to what they feel may be a good product? What would their next step be?
Well, I would say one thing, we're always easy to get in touch by DMing us on Instagram, but we're always at the store. So you come on Saturdays, you can always come meet with us usually, and bring your product. So I tell people, bring your product.
Wow.
And most of the time what we do have a store agreement, but what we do is we have it consignment. So that way that gives you the free reign to bring stuff out, take it in as you need. Because one thing we realized, we wanted to do the wholesale way, but I would have spent $100,000 on products that we didn't know.
Right.
So what we allow is that consignment allows you that flexibility to come in and see what works and what don't work.
Right.
And we're able to talk about different things of you having your own display, so you can have that stuff. And if you decide to put it in the store and we'll agree and everything is good, then guess what? We will not only help you, but we promote a day where you can throw an event at the store and have your own little release and allow and let people know. And guess what? On your own Instagram, a lot of people do. They put their address as our address.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Bring them to the Black Store. And, we promote it just like any other. and we're full transparency. So if you don't have a barcode on your item,
Yes.
we add one for you. That's how we
Wow.
keep up with the different things of different products. So
Yes.
at the middle of the month, you want to see how your stuff is selling, hit us up. We print you out a report. You can see how your things are going.
That's awesome.
So we
Okay,
just try to make it easy.
So what you're basically telling me is that you guys are not mom and pop.
No.
You are definitely state of the art, and this is where a vendor would want to be if they are an up and coming vendor.
Yes. Not only, I'm gonna tell you, it's not you said state of art.
Yeah.
We actually do own our own credit card systems too, and we redirect those fees back towards the community. So Shea Community Center, Acres Home Super Neighborhoods, our Sunnyside Civic Clubs, we not only pay for their websites, but we design them as well. So those, if you have a community group that's out there that you looking for that type of help, let us know. We definitely want to help more community groups.
And I want to say this to the people that are listening, because I know a lot of my teacher friends, a lot of my church members are out there. A lot of the people who support us are out there, and they're listening to you, Meka. They're listening to you, Lloyd. And it's so important that younger people get to see people like the both of you, simply because when I was coming along, when my sister and I were coming along, our mother was a little bit different in that she pushed us towards entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
She told us that there was absolutely nothing that we couldn't do. And we know that for the most part, most parents in the community were more like pushing you towards, you get a good job and you can, make sure that you can do this. And now the shift is completely different. Yeah. It's completely different. Why do you think that the community is embracing entrepreneurship so much more now than they were even 10 years ago? What has been the catalyst of that shift, do you think? Let me direct that to you first, and then I want you to think about that, Meka.
Okay.
For one, I think that the life is changing. We realize most degrees, to be honest, and I tell people when they every day ask me to come speak at their college, I'm like, I'm warning you, I'm telling the truth over here. Yeah. So, at your own risk.
Yeah.
But I got my degree in management information systems. But at the end of the day, if I came to reality, I really could have got that in certifications and got the same type of jobs and saved myself $50,000.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of those things we don't really know. But at the same time, I would tell my kids, if you're not looking to be a lawyer, a doctor, some type of specialized engineer, maybe I got these businesses over here that I'm setting up that we can be a part of. And hopefully the way that we even set up the Black Story through the corporations, even if my kids don't want to run it, it's still going to be running in its own perpetuity. So we don't have to really worry. But the landscape is changing. There's not a lot of jobs out there for people to do. We were talking about that.
Necessity.
And what are people going to do? And I said, let chains like McDonald's and let's just say Taco Bell go to full, where they only need 2 or 3 employees.
Yes.
What are those workers going to do?
Yes.
What skills do they really have? And I tell people, they don't put on the news. Go look at the mile-long tent cities in California.
That's right.
And we don't understand that's what's to come.
And that's scary.
For sure.
That is scary. A lot of people who basically want to do things that are entrepreneurial. It's a fear there. Meka, when you started out and you decided you said that you were working your regular job at first, but then things just started taking off, and you saw that there was potential in doing for a living what you really, where your heart really was.
Right.
Tell us about what was the catalyst for you taking that step, taking that leap of faith?
Well, for one, entrepreneurship, I think it changed now is because when I was in school, career day was totally different than it is today. Now schools are searching for entrepreneurs. Before it was only doctors and lawyers and teachers and dentists and all of those people. So you had to go to college in order to be those specific, to have that career path. And so I just think now that it's different. People actually see regular people having a career and being successful in things in entrepreneurship. So I think that's number one. For myself, I went to college and just really didn't come out of school and know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I said,
I know
you
exactly
know
what you mean.
What?
Yes.
I'm gonna go to cosmetology school because I like doing hair.
Yeah.
And I do hair for free. So now
Yeah.
I need to get paid to do
Right.
hair. So I had a life-changing decision.
Okay.
And then my parents were receptive and they were
Yes.
encouraging in what I wanted to do
Absolutely.
rather than the life they wanted me to have.
Yes.
And so I started off with cosmetology school. I was a hairstylist for some years until I was like, you know what? I'm a lawyer, an attorney, I'm a doctor, a counselor, I am a teacher.
Yes.
With clients in my chair.
Yes.
So I'm building all of these relationships. And then I went into a whole new field because there was a pivot in the hair industry.
Yes.
You know, YouTube showed all of our business.
Secrets. Yes. All of your secrets exposed.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
DIY
So
became
I
popular.
went from like 80,000 to charging a different amount because
Yes.
all my nieces knew all of the hairstyles and then all of the beauty supplies were having all of the professional products. Right. So it changed the industry. So I think even with the pandemic, you have to have a plan B. And our parents always talked about a plan B.
That's right. They certainly
And
did.
we never really had a plan B until you had to have a plan B.
Yes.
And so for myself, it was just one of those things like, okay, I got to succeed. I got to survive off of entrepreneurship. So in any type of pivot, I can be creative in my pivot and still survive. So, but I will say entrepreneurship is not for the weak or the weary.
No,
it is not.
It can be scary.
It can be.
Yes.
So for myself, of course, it's a lot of prayer, a lot of faith, a lot of sowing seeds, you know, and serving people and building those long-lasting relationships.
Yes.
And that has carried me today in my entrepreneurship businesses.
That's awesome. And that's what it's all about. It is about relationships.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying too. Basically, it's about relationships and nurturing those relationships. Now, with that being the case, we know that there have been instances before where we have had thriving communities, very self-sufficient out of necessity. Do you think that is a possibility again? If you didn't, you wouldn't have started the Black store.
For sure.
But that is not, I want you to explain why that is not and should not be perceived as a negative thing. To be self-reliant is a positive thing. And tell why that is the case.
I would say this. I think most of the people, accountability and that type of accountability for yourself is hard.
Yes.
And I realize that a lot of people don't want it.
Yeah.
And so you have to want it for yourself.
Yes.
And that's why they say the war, whatever, it won't be televised because like you say, it's starting your own mind.
Yes.
And I think most people, if you can't be what I tell people all the time, if you can't be disciplined, you know, in your own self, then how can you expect to be disciplined anywhere else? And I think we don't understand that is money, is getting money and stuff like that is a part of discipline.
Yes.
And we got to understand discipline in our lives. Those are the things that we want.
Yes.
And I think when it comes around to those different communities, I think we don't have a lot of ideas. We don't really know how it happened. We don't know the transition. We don't know a lot of history. So I think that's also a barrier of not knowing.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a hard thing to think about. And I had a talk with a young lady the other day and I say, look, you know that your parents didn't do anything. You got kids. Why don't you do something? And she said, hey, I don't know what I can do. And that's uncomfortable to think about. So I just live my life. And so I think that is a more widespread mentality than we know. And I think a lot of people don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I think, again, I was saying to somebody the other day, it's not enough for us just to talk about it here.
Yes.
It's not enough for us to have online classes. It has to be enough of us bringing that physical reality to life if we truly know.
Yes.
If you truly know. So that's what people are, oh, I know. And I say, hey, why don't we do this? Well, that ain't my thing. I'm like, well, I don't think you truly know.
Right. Yes.
Because if you did, then you will be making it a physical reality of what you believe in and making it life.
And encouraging young people. I do this in my classroom, y'all, and I know the other teachers probably laugh at me. I encourage my students during the pandemic. When the students first came back into the classroom, we had maybe 10 students that came back into the classroom. And so they're all spread out all over the classroom. They've got tape around the desk where they're 6 feet apart. And I'm saying to my students, so many of them had parents who had lost jobs and who were really, really struggling in many ways.
Right.
And I said, think about something. This is a project that we're going to do. Think about something that you like to do. Come up with some type of product that you like to do, or that you could, even if it's tie-dyeing t-shirts, things that you like to do that you could sell, or a lot of my kids do graffiti art and spray painting t-shirts and things that you can sell, and you have got a business. One of my students came to me one day and he said, Miss Dillard, it had been over a 3-day weekend. And he said, I worked with my uncle this weekend at his bike shop and I made $600. And I said, well, what were you doing? He said, well, we just get the old bike chassis that people throw away, and we sand them down and we remake them, and we do custom bikes. I said, do you know that that's a business? That's a legitimate business, and you're only 13 years old.
Right.
So, but he was not thinking in terms of, this is something that could take me to the next level and the next level and the next level. People come from all over the world for a custom bike.
Right. What I love about that is that his uncle is teaching him at that age entrepreneurship.
For sure.
Yes.
Like, there's another way. There's a different way. And I think if the mindset change for adults to take that additional time to see what their child is actually good at.
Yes.
Mentally challenge them, not just to go to college, but let me pay attention. It's not about sports.
Right.
It's
Right.
about
Please.
other things that they are good at, and listen and pay attention in order for them to understand that they do have a plan B. They just have to figure out what that plan B is.
That's right. And sometimes that plan B, if it's a certain niche that they have, that plan B can be absolutely
a plan A.
I can be someone and who will remain nameless, but I can make a certain type of lip gloss and become a billionaire.
Yes.
For real.
Okay.
You know what I make? And one thing, whenever we have kids at the store, we've had juvenile people, everything. And one exercise that I always have I make them jot down something that they love to do.
Yes.
But I always tell you, now, how can we turn that and you can make money from it?
Yes.
Because I think that's important exercise. I don't want to have a school want to invite us and have like some type of career fair or like competition. But I say I only want it to be things that I don't want it to be anything normal. It have to be something that they love to do.
That's right.
And turning that into a business, because I think that's the only way. We have to have them thinking creatively. And I'll give you one more example. One of our nail shop owners as well, they have some kids 5 and 6 years old. And I poured out a whole bunch of candies on the table. And I said, why don't y'all count them? And the little 5-year-old was like, man, I don't know if I can count that high. But guess what he said? He said, I don't know. Why don't we start to separate them in groups? And that way we don't have to count that. I said, I don't know if I thought that critically at that age. And I said, I know grown-ups that don't think that critically at that age.
That's
and at that point in time, I'm like, if we think that we can send our kids just to school, and they get everything that they need, we're sorely mistaken.
That's right.
And that's just how it is.
That's right. That's right. Guys, let me ask you this. And you knew I was going to come to this because this is important. It's very important to me. In our communities in 2021 going forward, if we are going to truly make a difference, we have got to figure out a way to awaken a sleeping generation politically. We have a sleeping generation. And what I mean by that is that many times, and maybe in a history teacher, many times I know that when things are going well, when everybody's job is intact and things are pretty comfortable, so many times we can fall asleep at the wheel when it comes to really keeping our finger on the pulse of what is going on in our government. And it's not what you do just today, it's what's being done all the way down every year until you end up at a certain place.
Right.
We have fallen asleep at the wheel when it comes to having a strong voice
Mhm.
in our communities, especially politically.
Mhm.
What can we do to awaken that generation and have them understand that things do not happen overnight?
Mhm.
For sure.
You have to say, I am going to be in it for the long haul,
Mhm.
and I'm going to not just put the brunt on the back of someone else to do the hard work. I'm willing to get out there and do the hard work myself to see things change. But where do we even start?
Let me say this. We have to understand what our people are involved in or interested in. Our people are involved in three things: money, status, and materialism.
Mhm.
So that's why the black store is more than just a store.
Yeah.
When you come to the store, of course, you're going to come and you're going to get all your different events. But guess what? What else you're going to get? Our black agenda.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, you have to give people sometimes what they want in order to feed them what they need.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when you come into the store, all the people, everybody that we didn't got over 4,000 numbers that came into our credit card system. You think
Yeah.
they're just going to be used for business? No,
Mhm.
they're going to get some political stuff.
Right.
That's right.
So I
Whether
think
they want it or not, they're gonna get
exactly.
it. Yeah.
So we just have to understand what our people are involved in, what they want to see, what excites them, and give it to them through those lenses.
Yes,
So that's why I
yes.
tell people don't even understand when I say we're more than just a store.
Yeah.
Right.
People think, oh, because y'all having some events. No, because when you come here, you're gonna get some of the events or what you get. But guess what? At one poetry event, somebody sponsored $400 worth of books.
Right.
Mhm.
So, and then yes, I don't even care. I tell people, sometimes all we need is your vote,
Yes.
either your time, your
Yes.
intellectual capital.
Yes.
So everybody is not gonna be involved in everything.
Yeah.
But I think that's the
Yes.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
What can we do, Meka? What's missing?
Well, one
what
of
are
the
we
things
missing?
I think, well, for one, we're lacking in together. I'll just say togetherness, being
Yes.
on one accord.
Yes.
I think for the younger generations, I think that book is awesome. It's amazing
Yes.
to be able to explain, because a lot of them don't know. They don't know who's doing what.
Yes.
They just know the vice president. That's
Some
all.
of them don't even know the vice president.
Yeah. So I think that it's very important for them to understand. One of the things that I do, I'm connected to the World Youth Foundation, where we take kids to the Congressional Black Caucus
Yes.
every year. So when we take them to the caucus,
Yes.
they're in the rooms to understand the legislative laws.
Right.
They're understanding what's taking place,
Yeah.
what needs to take place. And then also we need to start holding people in these specific places accountable
Yes.
for what they say that they are going to do, and understanding what our communities need. So when we have those who are stepping forward and saying that they want these positions or they're working for these positions, what are you going to do about the situations and the things that we have? For one, we don't go to the schools for parent meetings.
Yes.
We don't go to the school board
I know
for
that for a
school
fact,
board
Meka.
meetings.
Yeah.
We don't go to any of the community meetings. We don't
Yes.
even go to the what's the hub meet? What's the meet in the
HOA. Yeah.
We don't go to those.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we know how to complain about the things that need to be done.
Right.
For sure.
And so I believe that if we go and we speak on the things that need to take place, and then we
Yes.
understand how do we work through getting those things done
Yeah.
and holding those in position accountable, then there'll be a difference in the communities.
For sure.
We have about 4 minutes. Lloyd, if you had a wish list of the things, give me 2 things that you think we can do right now to fire up some of our younger people who have not yet registered but who are eligible to go out and exercise their birthright that others have fought for and vote. What do we need to do to energize them?
We just have to show them what they get out of it. I feel like our biggest thing is, like you say, everybody is worried about right now gratification instead of delayed gratification. So they have to understand the bigger picture, but even that's not going to be enough. We have to motivate them to be here. But a lot of times they are motivated, but they get unmotivated. And I think we don't understand. The other day, like a couple years ago, real quick at TSU, 1,500 votes that everybody voted got thrown out at the whole TSU college. Who
Right.
was barking about that? Who was making a rain
Mhm.
about that?
Right.
And they were calling students, and students reaching out to me when you have the
They
NAACP
were so
president
upset.
and Texas president
Yes.
on that campus.
Right.
So it's different things that we just have to want to do it. And like you say, even not hold those elected officials accountable, but all the people around us
Yes.
that's not doing what they need to do.
Mhm.
And actually, and you put your finger on the pulse of it a minute ago when you said, let people know exactly what each one of the people that they vote for, what is their what is their job? What are they responsible
Yes.
for? So you can go to the right person to say, this is not right, or this, I'm concerned about this. You can't go to the governor and say, I'm concerned about this leak on this water main in front of my house.
And guess what? They're not even gonna tell you that that's not their job. They're
Right.
just
No.
gonna take it in and okay,
That's right.
you gonna wonder
Yeah.
why it didn't get done.
That's
Right, right.
That's right.
That's
And then you'll become
exactly it.
discouraged
Yes.
because it didn't.
Yeah.
And you'll say, well, my vote doesn't matter anyway. Meka, can you tell me 2 things that we can do right now?
Well, I'll say this. If we can rally up for injustice,
Yes.
we can rally up for justice.
Yes.
I believe that we as a culture, creatively, those who can be creative,
Yes.
make a space for them to be excited about voting.
Yes.
And I believe that in some cases we're lazy, but when it's injustice, we fired up. We in the streets.
Absolutely.
We got our hands raised.
Yeah.
We're doing all of those things. And so I think that the fire goes dim and then we go back to normalcy again.
Yes.
And I think that if we creatively come up, just like we did with Barack Obama,
Yeah.
we came up with all of these concerts. We came up with all of these creative ways to get young adults involved.
Right.
And I believe that, and then take account what they're asking for, what their needs are. I don't believe we ever even ask young adults,
Yes.
what do you want in the
Yes.
community? What would you like to see?
Right.
And then you have someone that speak up on those specific
Right.
things to get them excited about, okay, my
Yes.
voice does stand for something.
Yes.
It will work. I can get my friends to y'all and understanding the laws and the people and who, once they get to the age of voting for those specific people, they can listen and understand. And I think that's the biggest thing. For one, we need to be educated
Yes.
on all of these specific positions, and then not
Yes.
letting people hold seats because you're just comfortable with them sitting there.
Right.
You know, those type of things. But
Yes.
yeah, I think if we collectively come up with something, if we can do it for injustice, we can do it for justice as well.
Absolutely. Tell us again, Meka, if people want to connect with you, tell us how they would connect with you. Tell me about your social media.
I'm gonna be bold and say just Google me. No, I'm just joking. No, you can. I'm just
You have
joking.
gotten to that place. I want to be you when I grow up.
No, listen. Be careful
Google
with
me
your
and knock the
ass.
mic off.
No, you can catch me on Instagram, on Facebook, Meka Diamond, as well as Visible Evidence, and it's spelled VZABLE. It's a little different from Invisible. It's Visible, or Meka Diamond Inc.
Fantastic. If they want to make that connection, Lloyd,
Sure.
how do they connect with you?
Well, you actually can Google the Black Store, but no. The Black Store on everything, all platforms, Facebook, Instagram. And if you want to find me personally, Ford Can't Lose on Instagram. And look, if you're just trying to see the messages, that's all you're going to see.
Fantastic. Well, I do want to say this before we go. My guests that are here tonight, they are not in any way endorsing me as a candidate or anything, but I thought that their stories would be fantastic for you to hear because they are motivating. They are encouraging. If they can do it, you can do it. So don't ever hesitate. Reach out to them if you need to reach out to them. They can definitely steer you in the right direction. Meka, her success was born of a tragedy, but she took that and she ran with it, and she's made it one of the most successful endeavors in Houston, especially on the giving front. Lloyd, his success was born of him getting a little bit of a wake-up call in corporate America. But that is exactly what he did, and that was a way that he was able to springboard, and now he has something that is a standard bearer for other stores in the whole country. I don't even know if there's anything like your store in the country.
Not that I know of.
Wow, it's nice being a first.
Look,
Amen.
Look, I take
it. But anyway, my name is Crystal Dillard. Thank you so much for watching From the Schoolhouse to the State House, which is where I hope to be. I'm a candidate for District 131, Texas State Representative in Houston. And reach out to me, guys. I could use your support. All the teachers out there, I could use your support too. Please make sure that you reach out to me at Crystal Dillard for Texas on Facebook and Crystal Dillard for Texas.com if you want to know anything about me. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you later. Next time. Bye-bye. Thanksgiving.